everybody. Welcome to a very special edition of Inspire You. I have the brilliant and brightly shining and empowering Miss Rhonda Ross with me today. Hi, Rhonda. How are you?
I'm great, Eugene. How are you?
I'm fantastic. You inspire so many people with your light, with your wisdom, with your talent, and you are continuing to empower women, but all people, especially during these challenging times. Just so everyone knows, we're going to talk to Rhonda about this, but she is just joined this brand new Facebook platform entitled Bulletin. And this is for independent creatives and writers to be able to inspire us all, to connect us. And what I love is that you're entitling it The Force Within, really encouraging personal power. And that is who you are. So tell us a little bit about what that means to you, personal power, the force within, and then how you're able to now express this out into the world through Bulletin.
I wanted to thank you for having me and for your wonderful introduction. Your words were so kind. Thank
Oh,
you.
well, thank you.
Yes, I have been, is it fair to say obsessed? I don't know. I've been interested in the idea of what I call personal power for about the last 20 years. Um, what I call personal power is the ability to control, uh, if not the experiences, how we experience the
Mhm.
experiences of our lives. Um, uh, some people call it stoicism. People call it existentialism. It's a big part of the personal growth movement and the self-help movement. But it's something that I started to find before I knew any of those words. Um, I found it because um, I I on the outside my life looked fine and good and all of those things, but something inside of me, this is about 20 years ago, something inside of me was just not fulfilled and not at peace. And I felt like the world was running my life as opposed to me running my life. I felt like my career, my health, even my family, was at the behest of forces that felt out of my control, and because of that, I felt powerless and not happy about it, not
Right.
happy about it at all, and um, like a lot of people, I dealt with some feelings of depression, feelings of anxiety, feelings of frustration, anger, resentment. Um, I sort of woke up in that every day and I tried to find my way around it. And it wasn't until, like I said, about 20 years ago that some of these ideas started dropping into my life. Um, the idea that you can control how you might not be able to control the situation, but you can control how you respond to the situation,
Yes.
or being present in the moment as opposed to time traveling, thinking about what you could have done differently in the past or what might happen in the future, staying present,
Right.
looking at your obstacles as opportunities instead of obstacles, recognizing that when the winds of change in life come and blow around you, you have the choice of whether you're going to let it knock you down or whether you're going to shift your sail and let it
Yes.
take you where you want it to go, where you want to go. So these ideas started trickling into my consciousness about 20 years ago, and I just found that they made me feel better,
Right.
and I slowly sort of crawled my way out of those dark feelings I was having, and and started to practice this. I started looking for it. I started reading all the books and practicing it, not just the reading, but really putting it into practice in my life, and watching my life change, and also again the way I experienced my life change, and my relationships were changing,
Right.
and all of that. And then, of course, because I'm an artist, I'm a singer-songwriter, all of a sudden my songs started coming out differently, and I started writing songs like "Ain't Nobody's Job to Make You Happy."
Yes.
All right.
I was just going to talk to you about, I love that you brought that up because I love that song of yours. And I saw you do a portion of it on the other day on your Facebook feed. And I want you to keep going. But I was literally, I love that, was going to pull that up and read some of those lyrics.
Well, I write my songs primarily for me. just
Yeah,
just FYI.
but then it touches other people, right?
Yes, I write them to help me navigate life. And
Yes.
as you mentioned in your introduction, life always needs to be navigated. But right now we are in very
Hmm.
precarious times, and there's a lot of emotion and a lot of, whew, what is it? I almost see grenades, like
Hmm.
emotional psychological
Hmm.
grenades
Yes,
being,
they're just kind of going off. It's like
and
that.
they're going off everywhere.
Yeah.
And just like a real grenade, you can step on one without knowing you even stepped on one. You get the text, or you see the headline, or you hear from somebody, or you go on social media, and all of a sudden there is a live grenade. And and all and you are in a position where you have to this is such an awful analogy, but like, you have to, like, manage the fallout from this grenade.
Totally. Totally.
And it comes out of nowhere.
And I love what you said, just to touch on a couple things, because so many of us, like you said, will look, especially nowadays on social media, and we can, as we use social media, it's a very powerful tool. It's how we show up in it, right? As you said, we can react, we can respond. It's a personal choice, but the awareness is the key. Once we start to really be aware of not allowing the emotion, the grenades to affect us and seep into that,
Yes.
right? It's,
Yes.
and that's what you're being an example of, a shining example, teaching. But it's interesting because within all of this, I think some of it's occurring, from my personal opinion, with the grenades. It's been, growing over time. But I think because there are light workers and there are people that are waking up, as I call it, to their inner power, to their knowing that we don't have to be attached fully to the ego in this society, in this lifetime. We're human beings. Just as you being an entertainer in the public eye, you were on television. I think about 20 years ago, were you also on a soap opera, weren't you?
That's yes, and that it ended 20 years ago. That was the beginning of my change.
And
Yeah.
that makes sense. And because I would understand that, and nothing against any television program or soap opera or anything like
Yes.
that. It's all beneficial for what it is for people. But I could see that. I could see you're living the dream. You're on television
There you go.
and you're acting, and that's what you were excited and passionate about at the time. And then you start to feel, God, there's something. Because I have felt that way in life too. I've been involved in the business multiple ways, never to a level of a platform visibility the way you have. But I was in New York City recently performing prior to the pandemic and interviewing, and again, wonderful experience. I love the city. I love the energy. But there were so many moments where I also felt there's something missing here. I'm purposeful, yet I'm still missing something, where I feel, like you said, moments of, this doesn't feel fully good within me.
Yes.
So thank you for everything that you just said, because it makes sense to me. And I love what you said about that you just started on the journey. You knew it for yourself, because honestly, we have to do it for ourselves first, right? That's the inner connection.
Well, that's absolutely what I believe, and I'm not in the type of performance that is performance for performance sake.
Right.
I don't even come from that. My mother, like, I come out of a space of my truth,
Yes. And
stand on the stage
yeah,
and
it's
share
like
my truth.
from
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
So it has to have been real for me first.
Like what you did, I saw a clip, and this, to me, Rhonda, what you did on multiple shows, but in Red Rocks a few years
Oh,
ago, I
Yeah.
saw some video. I wasn't there, unfortunately, but I saw some video of you uniting that
Oh,
entire amphitheater outdoors under those stars, and everyone was, I mean, I'm getting emotional about it because it wasn't about the glamour at that point. It wasn't about the stage or the lighting. It was about everyone, you pulling in everyone collectively in energy. And there were, I remember all the light, everyone holding up the light. And that truly is the connection. And see, that's the purpose, in my opinion, of what we can do in the business, entertainment, theater, performance, writing. We have a platform that
yeah.
we can unite people. And that's what you're doing.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to speak about that. That was a very special night. It was the last night of a tour that my mother's tour where I was opening for her,
Right?
and my son was there. We had gone 3 weeks or so without seeing each other, and we were back together. So he
Yeah.
joined me on tour, and I had never been to Red Rocks before. It's a remarkable space
The energy. Yeah.
and like an open amphitheater, and people had their, I think it was cell phones, and they had
Oh, right. Because they don't do lighters anymore. I forgot. Here I
exactly.
am in the old,
I do think
yeah,
it was
back in
like
the, is,
and
yeah.
it was beautiful. And my mother called for my son and me. We were backstage packing up. The show was over, almost over. We were getting ready to go, and I heard her over the loudspeaker
Uh,
calling for us, and we joined her on stage, unprepared, unexpected, and she asked first my son and then myself to pray.
oh, cool.
And again, no prep. So my point is, what is in you comes out of you. What
Yes.
is real for you is what is exposed on the stage. And there's no space to fake it, and there's no time to prepare it. It is just who you have been practicing being throughout your life.
Yes.
And my son started to pray. I looked at him, I said, say what you want, baby. And he said, oh, it was beautiful. And then I tried to follow him. He's not an easy follow. And I said what was in my spirit in that moment. But again, it was just what was inside of us. But I
Yes.
say that to say, I think it is all of our jobs to practice and grow and develop I call it with my son his internal magic tree,
Oh, I love that.
that you are constantly sowing into it and fertilizing it and pruning it and helping it to be as big and beautiful and fruitful as possible. And then you walk through life with this tree, and it is giving fruit and flowers
Mm,
everywhere you go. And you have no idea how many people are watching you, being inspired by you, being encouraged by you.
yes.
But you walk through your life practicing your own self development,
Mhm.
practicing your own personal power, living the best life that you can live, letting the watching your thoughts, watching your mind, your
Mm,
decisions, your every moment choices. We have so many choices of
so
how
many.
we're going to go through this life, and like you said, without even knowing it, inspiring others, um, and shedding light and being light, and all of those things, and so that night was really important to me because it was an example of, you can't prepare to
Mm,
fake this. You've got to walk it every day,
mhm.
because right then, I don't know how many people Red Rocks holds, but okay, so there was a few thousand people watching that night. But in life, there are people watching all the time, and you have the
Yes.
opportunity. Your life can inspire your life, but only if you are doing the development on yourself, in every day,
I,
reading the books and practicing and
yes.
and all of that.
I agree with you so much because I think People also, and we can all do this as human beings. I know I did it in my past. I think I started around the same time, maybe even that you did individually in my own way. It was, yeah, because I'll be 48 in September, and around when I was 28, I was living in LA and I was working in Beverly Hills. And again, when I say all of this, wonderful place, anything I ever bring up, it's not a negative. It's just that's where I was at. But I felt similar to what you felt. I'm like, Dad, there's got to be more. It's so surface for me. There's got to be more. And I did start to take the next steps. I think the first book I read was a Shakti Wayne book, and then it went to Wayne Dyer, and then it kind of, and it came in when it was supposed to. But like you said, Rhonda, we have to be able to do the inner work. And a lot of people, I think, are afraid of it because it isn't always easy. You have to sometimes clear and clean out things that are stuck and holding you back, and right? Belief systems of lack or low self-esteem, insecurity, fear based on I'm not enough. And I think that could be one of the reasons why so many of the grenades are going off right now is I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. We're not enough. And I don't even think people are aware of it, but I think it's going back to the self-love. And if we can all individually begin to do that and do the work, then I think the healing begins to occur collectively. And that's what being a light worker, I think, is right now. It's not like a pedestal thing, right? It's not anything about a pedestal. Being a light worker is owning and connecting back to your true source of light, the divine, whatever you want to call it, the goddess energy, the God within, source, universe. And that is why I love what you're doing about the force within, because we're all connected to that force.
Yes, yes. Yes, everything, yes to everything you said. And I would like to add to that, um, what I've been feeling in regards to the grenades that are
Yeah.
going off. Yes, I'm not enough, but also I'm not safe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that to me has been a big one. I'm not safe. And especially in the past year and a half, with the pandemic, and then I mean everything. Oh gosh, the pandemic, the uprisings, the all of the stuff. And I'm not safe. I'm not safe. I'm not safe. And what I believe is that um, whew, that safety. Gosh, how do I even explain this? Safety, or at least the sense of safety, the
Mm-hmm.
feeling of safety, is really much more a mind game, much more energetic
Right.
than we give it credit for. We think if we build the wall, if we build these walls around ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to keep us safe, right? But the truth is, safety comes from inside. It
Yes.
comes from a different place. It comes from this force within, and that feeling of not being safe can come out of nowhere. Again, you can see a headline, you can get a text, you can get and all of a sudden you think, I'm not safe. My body, my health, my loved ones' bodies in health, and how do I protect myself, and how do I protect my loved ones? How do I hold on to them?
Yes.
And so much of the work, I think, is pulling our safety from a different source, from a
Yes.
different space, and that is the work that I think is so important. And going back to that song, nobody's business.
Yeah.
It's nobody's job to make you happy. Nobody's job to pull you through. Nobody's born to give you sunshine that lights inside of you.
Yes. Right there. That gives me goosebumps.
Yes, thank you. And I
Goosebumps.
needed, but see, I needed to hear that. I
Yes.
needed to hear that in that moment.
Yes.
I was looking for my happy, my safety, my joy, um, outside of myself. I was looking for it,
Mm-hmm.
and I was frustrated because I wasn't finding it. Because you can
Exactly.
never find it outside of yourself.
No, and
You
I
can
think
never find it outside of yourself.
exactly, and that's the thing. What you said about feeling safe, secure, building almost these walls around us, which actually creates the further division
Yes,
energetically, because since we're all collectively
yes,
connected, I mean we really are. And many
yeah,
don't think that, but I love what you said because when we look for validation, when we look for approval, when we look for um, anything outside of ourselves, yearning for the love, yearning for, then that's all it does. That's when the disconnect, right? And I think that's when people feel the emptiness
You
because
feel even more insecure. You
yeah, you
feel even
can't
more
fill the
insecure.
void. You can't fill the void.
Yeah. Also, if you are dependent on anybody else to do anything to help you feel secure, you can't control that other person. I mean, I can't
Right.
control my 11-year-old.
Well, by the way, on a side note, he is amazing. I know you know that you're his mother, but you and your husband are doing a fantastic job.
I
Like just
so
again,
appreciate that. But he is his own person, and I can't control him. I can't control my husband. I try. Let me tell you something. So the bottom line is, if my security, if my health, if my protection is coming from me controlling not just one person, but groups of people I've never met, groups of people who have their own agendas and their own stuff, I am going to be left feeling
oh,
terrified and panicked.
yes,
And what good decisions can come from a person who is terrified and panicked? What does that do to your body health wise?
yes.
If you are walking around waking up terrified and panicked, going to bed terrified and panicked. So I do my best to look at what I actually have control over, right? I'm sorry, there's some noise. I hope you can hear.
Oh no, 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 it's okay.
What I actually have control over, and what I can actually put my hands on and fix and control. And I do that. And then I let the other stuff go, and um, I tap into my source, my God, and I put my faith
Mhm.
into something bigger than me and something inside of me. And I
Mhm.
don't try anymore to try to control everyone, everyone's everything around me.
Oh, because yes, I mean, like you said, if you try to control situations around you, first of all, you will constantly be in turmoil because
Turmoil.
you can't, and you can't, and you have to allow. It's allowing.
Yes.
It's almost like that ebb and flow, right? Like you said, you connect to the source, the power, the God,
So good.
what you believe, your faith, and it's almost like I get a visual where it's like I don't know. I want to share something with you because I know you'll be open to this. So sometimes how I visualize is you'll see like the sun, right? Like a ball of energy or fire, a ball of fire or something. And I consider that God's source. And we're a divine spark of each part of that. And that light goes within our energy field of
Yeah.
who we are in our human form. And I think that spark, if we connect it back to the source, there is no, we're connected. So what do we have to fear anymore? What do we
Right.
have to be insecure about? Yes, there is turmoil around us. You connect to that, you allow the turmoil,
Yeah.
and then you shine it out from there. I think, right? Again, this
I
is
love
all
it.
my
I love
personal
that.
opinion.
It's so good. It's so well said. It's so beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
I can't agree more. That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
and that's who you are. And I know we all are that. It's
Yes.
not because that's what another beautiful thing about you. Yes, you come from an incredible family, but it's every individual person is incredible. Every one of us.
Every
It
one of us.
every one of us. And you, to me, shine that out every day. And I think I want to applaud you for that because you are encouraging all people. You're not saying I'm Rhonda Ross. No, I'm Rhonda Ross. It's this, you know?
Well, I have to say I was raised and my siblings were raised that we were not given that excuse, that platform to think that we were something because of the exterior, or
Mm,
that we were something because of who our parents are, or we were something because of what we were born into. And I'm so thankful that
oh God,
we
yes.
weren't given that. I mean, I think that would have been a disaster. It would have been a disaster. And as I'm now raising my own son, same thing. I want to make sure that he that he knows that he is great, but he is great because of him and his
Yes.
decisions and his
Yes.
choices and
Yes.
his mindset. Um, because the honest truth is that's all it could ever be. And if you give your child a sense that their greatness comes from, again, outside of themselves,
Mhm.
their protection, their safety, their happiness, their value
Yes.
comes from outside of themselves, you're doing them a disservice because it can never come from outside of themselves, and they'll always feel insecure.
Yes.
They'll
And
always feel insecure.
wanting that approval,
Yeah,
that validation from the outside world.
which you cannot control.
No, you cannot. And just like within purpose, I've had to learn along the way, for many years, luckily I've had my own with awakening within, and of course it's a journey. For many years it was, especially in my 20s, and I know a lot of us do that in their 20s, but it was, I have to be somebody. I have to be up here. Everyone has to know my name. I did. I went through that.
Yeah,
And all I kept doing was searching and chasing.
yeah.
And I wanted the approval of certain people in my life that were unable to give it. Because they couldn't give it to themselves, right?
Guess what, Eugene? Even if they could have given it, it wouldn't have been enough.
It wouldn't have mattered, right? Enough, because you have to
It
give it to
would
your
not
team.
have, it would not have filled what you were looking to fill.
Exactly.
And that's the issue. It would not have.
Exactly. So I want to ask your opinion on something. So let's say someone comes to you today and they say, okay, Rhonda, I understand what you're saying. I think I'm understanding the concept. Where do I begin though? Because I know so many people say that to me too. I'm so overwhelmed, Eugene. You put out these things and I'm drawn to some of it, but I'm a newbie. Where
Yeah,
do I begin?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's a great question, and it's an interesting one because, like you, I've been now studying this for 20 years, and as I write these articles, the Force Within articles, I'm trying to be very cognizant that there are people who are new and that they're coming to this not with 20 years, but brand new,
Right.
having spent a lifetime ignoring this whole side of who they are,
Mhm.
this whole internal power. um, and so where would I suggest that they start? Well, I would suggest that firstly, they start understanding that they're going to take baby steps,
Mhm.
and that baby steps are not only fine, not only good, but necessary, because it's a heavy lift, if not, and you don't want to get overwhelmed, right?
Right.
And like you said, um, many of us, some more than others, have traumas and
Yes.
big pockets of shame and fear, and so you do have to be gentle with yourself, like super gentle with yourself. So
Yes.
that the first thing I would say is be gentle. The decision to want to even look in this area is huge.
Yes.
That's like so much of
I
the,
love that you just said that. That's like it. When you decide, it's like that's the
yeah,
beginning.
it's a huge beginning. It's a
Yeah.
huge beginning. um I would recommend, I mean, instead of recommending a specific practice, though I might have one to recommend, I would recommend uh starting to open your ears.
Mm.
Well, okay. Let me back up. So first of all, first you decide that you want to make you want to make this change. You want to start investigating, exploring. That's huge. Then I would also realize that every single one of us, every single person that you see out there, even the ones who are
Mm.
shining bright and smiling and all of that, we are all doing some like work in the back end, right? Like the work on
Exactly.
right. That's
Exactly.
that's the thing that I think people don't get. I think they think that, there's some people who wake up happy and some people who don't wake up happy, and it's just luck of the draw.
Mhm.
And I don't believe that. I feel like the people who wake up happy, um, are doing some kind of work,
Yes.
um, some kind of mindset preparation. that allows them to wake up that way, because we know it's not money, right? We know extreme millionaires who are depressed, right? So it's not
Yeah.
money. We think it's money, it's fame, it's whatever. We know that there's
Um,
people who are depressed, right? So it's not that. It's a decision someplace else, like behind the scenes, right? Um, so that's the first thing, and I say that to people all the time. People who I know, some of whom are in teenagers and some of whom are in their 70s, and all of whom are dealing with anxiety and depression and that sort of thing. And I say to them, you are not alone. Everybody out here is, we're juggling, we're working, even the ones who are looking happy. It's not that I'm not, like, take me, I'm not happy, I am
right.
happy, but
Right.
there's work that
Of
has gone
course.
into this.
Yeah.
I use this analogy. It's like a boat that floats on water. So I consider my boat to be one that floats. I float. I wake up in the morning and I feel good. But every night you take that boat home and you maintain it.
Yes.
You for the cracks, you shellac it one more time.
Yeah.
You put gas in it. You like, there
Yeah.
are things that you have to do. And so it's not that the boat is not really floating. It's not that, this is a lie. It's not that the boat is floating, but it takes maintenance. And if I didn't do that maintenance, or when, let me be clear, when I did not do that maintenance, because I forget like everybody else,
Of course.
I get busy, I get overtired, I get stressed out. A grenade goes off that throws me off my game.
Ooh.
And if I don't do that work, I can get on that water and my boat can start to go down. But what the difference is, I know, I know that it is within my power to maintain the boat. And so even when my boat is sinking, and it can sink, believe me, Eugene, this can happen. This has
Oh,
happened.
I know.
This happens. This happens.
I know. I've had boats sink.
Yeah, this happens. And but even while it's sinking,
Yes.
I can say to myself, okay, today it's sinking. Tonight, tomorrow, I'm gonna go do my maintenance. And
Yes.
we're gonna start getting the boat back up.
Right.
I'm
And I love what
I'm
you
gonna read
said.
the books that help. I'm gonna get some sleep. I'm gonna drink some more water.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch my thoughts. I'm gonna journal.
I'm gonna be
Um,
in nature.
I'm gonna go to nature. My thing is the beach. I'm gonna go see some water. I'm
Yes.
gonna take a walk. I'm gonna exercise. I'm gonna do some of the things that I know help maintain my boat.
Yes.
And it might take a couple days. It might take a few days. But I know that ultimately I have control over whether that boat goes all the way down or not. And so, in answer to your question, because I think it's a good one, so I want to go back to it,
Sure.
which is what I would say to someone who feels brand new, who says, maybe this works, but I don't know, I feel brand new. I would say, first of all, be gentle with yourself. The decision to explore this is huge. Applaud yourself, congratulate yourself.
Yes.
Then I would say, um, start opening yourself. Oh, no, no. Before I get to that, I would say, know that everyone is doing something. It is not luck of the draw. We are all doing something to maintain our boats.
Right.
And now I would look at some of the things that we are doing. Look at the podcast, the books, the YouTube that um, might have a nugget or two for you to start with. Everybody's start is going to be in a different place, and every book and every practice does not work for every person, right? So I would start looking. I know, Eugene, you have a list of books that have worked for you. I have a list of books that work
I
for me. I'm
do. Yeah. Yeah. And, and,
preparing.
and right. And depending
I'm
on where
preparing
you're
something
at,
on the list. It depends on where you're at.
because some will come in now that I'll read and go, oh, it was just right for me now. This book might have even been around 12 years or 20 years or whatever,
Yeah.
but it wasn't in my awareness at the time because it. So I love what you're saying, and I think one thing that I had to realize, you hear people, well, you need to meditate. You need to do this. Well, there's all forms of meditation. You don't have to
Absolutely.
sit in a dark room with no sound with your legs crossed. Now, if it works for you,
Right.
but like you said, nature, like, or the water. See, if I go out, I love trees. That's why I love that you brought up the tree earlier, because there's something about trees for me that when I stand in these glorious trees, I feel the grounding, I feel the energy, I go back within who I am.
Yeah.
And then I can get more clear. And I think that's part of it is untangling some of that stuff that is no longer serving us. That's not the true source of who we are.
Yeah.
So I wish we could go on and on and on and on. You're so beautiful. Thank you. You really
Oh,
are.
yeah.
I mean,
I've loved this conversation. I have to tell you, um, it is such a treat for me when I have the opportunity to have a conversation with someone who's like-minded like
oh,
this. It
thank
really
you,
is a
Rhonda.
treat, and I love it. I
Well,
love it.
thank you. And
I could do this all day.
I know, and I wanted to show everybody. I always have this when I interview. You can't really see it, but it says inspire.
Oh,
And I know it's just a simple thing, but again, guys, this is a reminder. Like you said, reminders, little things that you can carry with you, that you can put next to you. Now, the meaning that we put in this is just an object. This is energy like we are. But if it reminds you, continue to inspire yourself and others, reconnect to who you are. And I had this next to me, and I knew it would mean a lot with you today. I've been wanting to connect with you for a long time, but again,
I know.
but you want to know the beauty of it is now was
This is
the
it.
time.
100%. I thought the exact same thing. I thought the exact same thing because we've been going back and forth with emails for a long time,
For a
years,
long time.
years. Cabaret, Joe's Pub. Like
I know.
I have all these memories, and yet this was the one.
This
Look
was
at
the
that.
one.
This was the one.
And that is the beautiful thing about trusting, like you said, beginning to work on ourselves, take the baby steps, reconnect, connect back to what the power is within. But the thing is, trust the timing, trust the universe, trust
Yes,
yourself.
yes, yes.
Because and that's another thing too, with purpose, with career, with success, whatever you want to call it in life. If you, like you said with your boat, if there are many times in my life where I felt that I was lost out, like on, when you feel like you're out in the water, the stormy waters, and you want that lightsaber thrown to you. Well, that's how I felt for many years. It was that I knew there was more for me. I knew it, but I still was stuck in, I have to be validated outside of myself. And that's okay. That's where I was at.
Yeah, it's a big one though. I mean, look, this is the work that I do all the time, and just 2 days ago something came up, a grenade. I'm liking that analogy, by the way.
I like it
And
too.
and I was like, "Ooh, what's that grenade? Where'd that come from?" And I heard a voice said, "Because you weren't chosen. You weren't chosen." And I said, "Huh, that's right. That was a grenade that said to me, you're not being chosen." And I'm so glad I saw it, and I was able to say, yeah, that's okay, because I'm going to choose myself. I can choose myself.
You can choose yourself.
But we are in a culture, a society that definitely holds up the idea of being chosen, right?
Yes. Oh,
And
yes.
and so when you're not validated, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I kind of think it's kind of like I don't like it.
When you are not chosen and not validated, uh, there's a moment of grenade hopping that you have to
So true.
get conscious about and say, but hold on, I love your inspire thing because that's not my purpose. My purpose is not to be chosen here. My purpose is to be true to myself,
Yes.
speak my truth,
Yes.
um, take care of my magic tree, shine
Yes.
my light,
I love that.
be, maintain my boat. Like this is my work. These are my jobs. Whether or not someone chooses me for whatever, it's like when you're a kid and you're getting chosen for the team or whatever.
I know.
Like whether or not you get chosen or not really has nothing to do with it. It really has nothing to do with it. We've
No.
gotten into this mindset that somehow that makes a difference. And when I say choosing, I mean fame and all of those, everyone knows your name,
Accolades and all those kinds of
all of
things. And
that.
I understand these things were set up over time, and we understand it. We get it. But I do feel that there is a part of the grenades that are going off and some of the crumbling and I do think a shift is occurring, and it will take time. But I think, at least for me, we don't need to be put on those pedestals anymore. We really don't. I mean, that's me. And I know that's been over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years maybe even thousands, I don't know.
Yeah.
But when it comes to pop culture, it's been,
Yeah.
and that's okay. I love it. And don't get me wrong. I love all of it. I love what your family does. I love what other families do. Because you're a foundation and you're an example, and there is beauty in it. I love entertainment, but I do feel that there has been an unhealthy kind of imbalance of it. And I think that's why a lot of this, politically too, of course.
What's interesting is, we talked about this a little earlier. I was born in, you know, to parents who have been chosen. Well, they chose themselves, and
Well,
then
they
were
chose
chosen,
themselves.
whatever.
They
Yes,
worked their butts off.
they
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But they got the
Yes.
accolades. They got all that stuff, and it is so great. But they both were clear all of my growing up to this day that their value does not come from them having been chosen.
Isn't that
Their
amazing? See,
value does not come from that.
yes, and
And it doesn't come from the hit records. It doesn't come from the Kennedy Center honors. It doesn't come from it does not their value. It is lovely.
yes.
It is appreciated.
Well, they're being celebrated,
Yes,
and we
great.
do want to celebrate each other. We want to
Happy about
celebrate,
it. Happy about it. That is not where their value comes from.
and
They
that is
both have,
evident. That's
yeah,
evident, though,
they
because
both
all of
have
you,
very
yeah,
clear vision of what they wanted and still want to do in this life and in this world, how they want to impact it, both of which have to do with their inner magic tree and the light that it
yes,
emanates.
and the light is
Yeah, the
evident.
light that it emanates, that it emanates. That is what their purpose is. Now, if they get applauded for that, that's great. That's lovely. But that is not where their value comes from.
Yes,
And so I was raised seeing that and knowing that. And there are a lot of celebrities who that is not the case for.
and
You
that's their journey, right?
and I'm
Their-
thankful though that I was not witness to that. I
I
was
really am
witness to
grateful for
someone
you for that too. But see, I think the world knows that. And of course, it's not about the world knowing it, but I'm just saying from my perspective, when you watch all of you together,
yeah,
you see the light, you see the love, you see the connection, you see that it's not about, oh, look at us, look at us, look at us.
yeah,
It's not about that. And you are leaders. And see, when you shine bright and people know who you are, there's a choice though. And you've all chosen, here we use the word chosen again, you're shining your light as an example. That to me is the beauty of it. When you use your platform for the better good of
yes,
society and
yes,
for the world. And of
yes,
course, I mean, look at me. I'm wearing sparkle. I love glamour. I love your earrings. I love your hair. I love it because that is energy and that is light and that is owning your beauty and your power and your divine, you know?
yes.
I mean, so I just want to thank you, and I want to encourage everybody. I will have a lot of information posted so you can have links to where to find out more about Rhonda, to find out more about Bulletin, The Force Within, her music, because you're more than a triple threat. You're like a quadruple,
I love it.
songwriter, entertainer, speaker, actress, all of it.
Thank you.
But most of all, light worker. Most
Thank
of all,
you. I
beautiful light
really,
worker.
really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for this.
And so are you.
Thank you,
And
Rhonda.
so
I
are
take it
you.
in. I receive it.
Yes, receive that
I
because
receive it.
this was a beautiful surprise for me. We'd never connected before. We talked about it, and then to connect and have so much in common about our work on this planet means a lot.
It does mean a lot. So I thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.